So I am traveling through Kansas right now on my way to Dodge City, and happened to stop in a little town called Kinsley, Kansas, which happens to be exactly halfway between San Francisco and New York City. This is the midpoint between those two cities here in the United States. Saw also that they have a county museum here that has like a replica of an old sod house and some old farm machinery. I've never seen a sod house, so we're going to go inside and take a look and just see what they have. Just a quick little stop on our way to Dodge City. For some of you fashion people, some dresses from other eras. Kind of neat. And of course we have to abide by our rule that if we see a gun, we have to film it. So there we go. It's pretty neat. This is a map of the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe rail line. And we, right now, are right there. So here's a graphotype machine. And it has a keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and admit that I have no clue what a graphotype machine is, though. Hey, this is pretty cool. Good old Ford Model T, which came in any color that you wanted as long as it was black. This particular one was found in a pasture, and then the guy who found it restored it, got the motor running, and then donated it to the museum. Yeah, pretty cool. And old taxidermy is so bad, but at the same time always very interesting to me. And that one is a stud. Holy smokes. You might be familiar with a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge or even a 10 gauge, but what about an 8 gauge? I've only seen one other 8 gauge in my entire life, and good grief, that would probably dislocate your shoulder. So here's something that's kind of cool that I've never seen before in person. An old switchboard. It's kind of neat. So everybody would have their own number, and then you'd have an operator that would connect you to the other line, and then sit here and listen in on your conversation. Pretty neat. Okay, well, if you've ever driven through Kansas, you know that there's a limited amount of trees. So the first settlers that came out here were forced to come up with some new ways in order to build their homes. And what they built was something that would have looked like this. This is a sod house, also called a soddy, which is just a house that is built out of blocks of prairie turf. Kind of neat. So this is a sod plow that they would use to turn over like these huge chunks of buffalo grass that was real dense. And then you could take a blade and cut it into symmetrical blocks, and then stack the blocks, and then you have yourself a sod house, or a house literally made out of dirt. All right, so here on the inside you can see these blocks stacked up. So it's about as close to living in a hobbit hole as a person can get. And there you can kind of see again over here next to this creepy mannequin, the dirt walls on the inside of this sod house. So this is kind of what the inside of a soddy on the Great Plains would have looked like. Interesting. Not a lot of room for privacy in here. You literally have the kitchen, living room, and bedroom all in one spot. the way out, we found out that this building was actually built around the sod house. So the sod house was there originally, and then it was starting to deteriorate, so they built this museum structure around it to kind of preserve it and keep it from, I don't know, just disintegrating into nothing but a mud pile. This was not a planned stop, but that was really cool. There was a lot of interesting stuff in there that I'd never seen before, so glad we stopped. But now on to Dodge City. It is so stinking hot that whenever I got out of the car, my feet literally sank down into the parking lot, leaving a permanent imprint. So I guess you could say that I am now a permanent fixture of this museum. Good heavens.